can go back and replay some of the worlds, and they have challenge levels that make it even harder, and like really challenge you. So I've enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's a turn-based team, style mapping out how you want your guys to go out in the field.
Well, once your guy dies, once one of the guys dies, you lose them, right?
In XCOM, that's the case, but I believe as Mario dies, you don't.
In
lose
this
Mario.
one,
Do they really die though?
They don't really. I've never.
They do in XCOM.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
They you like lose them for that match. I think they come back.
You gotta keep
there
it
are points where it
light and hearty.
replenishes your health. So
Yeah. Which is what made XCOM really tough, is that you can lose people you've built up along the way and have to start with new recruits, which is what, and later in the game, that's really tough to do.
Because you have when you level up your recruit, not a recruit, but when you level up that specific character, he's at the level to be able to kill the people that you're going against,
Correct.
right? Yeah, so then you have a recruit who's not even at that level then?
Yep.
God.
Now, you can buy equipment for them,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean his skills are high.
Jeez, that would suck.
So, in other Nintendo Switch news, I've been hearing some shady or shaky things about the FIFA version, the FIFA Switch version, that they're coming out with alongside, I think, all the console releases of FIFA this year. So I'm interested in this. Again, I'll be traveling a lot. It'd be fun to have a sports game, on my Switch when I go. But they're saying, what the developers have been saying all along, is that this game is going to be the same game. It's just not going to be quite as crisp, right? It's going to have all the modes. It's going to be the same thing. But now there's reports coming out that it's going to be a heavily dieted version of it, where what's the mode you play all the time? The foot.
Yeah.
The FIFA Ultimate Team
FIFA
is going to be
Ultimate Team.
really cut back and stuff. And so
That's going to suck.
is that something that makes you guys mad? Do you blame? Is this sort of like a No Man's Sky situation where the developers are coming out and over-promising and then under-delivering? Or do you think that just FIFA being on the Switch in general is a good first step?
Do you think it's because of the platform that it's on?
Yeah,
The
it definitely
limited
is. It's just not
capabilities of the
powerful
Switch
enough.
compared to
Yeah,
PS4 and Xbox.
They had to make sacrifices, I assume.
Yeah.
All over the board for it. But I mean, if it plays well, I'm not someone who gets super deep into that stuff. I like to just play a season or something like that. And it seems like from all accounts that's going to function pretty well.
That's cool.
To me, it's more of a win that we're getting this AAA game on Switch, and it's not just a Nintendo-only game. I think this is the step in the right direction for getting more handheld versions of really cool games.
You are playing soccer.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. And does this game deliver on that and decently well? Can you play soccer? Because you can't do that. So when we say, oh, it's not that good, or they under-delivered because FIFA for PlayStation and Xbox is so fantastic. No, look at it as there's no soccer games for Switch. Now you can play soccer, and you can play it decently well. I wouldn't put it in the same character or category as No Man's Sky, because they basically said a game could do one thing, and it did that one thing, but didn't consider all the other aspects to it, is what they said. So they kind of covered up the rest. This one's like, I couldn't play soccer. Now they say you have a game, you can play soccer, and that's what it does.
But to me, since I play it a lot, this makes me, getting a Switch, even hearing about Splatoon and hearing about XCOM version of Mario, whatever. Hearing about that stuff, that's all right. But then, why do I really want to get a Switch? What's going to make me really get a Switch is probably to play Zelda. The only game that I really am truly interested in buying a Switch for. But is it really worth the money to drop that and then hear about FIFA? And it's well, I'm not going to buy FIFA for the Switch if I'm going to play it on PlayStation. But it's different for you because you're Brogan. You're going to be traveling, so it's different. So to me, I don't know. If they're trying to make people jump over to get a Switch, I don't know if they're doing a good enough job.
I don't think they're trying to make
That's
people
not,
jump.
yeah, they're
Not
trying
really
to
jump
make
over,
them jump.
make a leap and just buy a Switch and try it out. Even when I was playing Splatoon, the game's alright, But to me, at least to me, that's my perspective on it. To Buddy, it might be the best game that he's played in a long time. I don't know.
The difference is, though, Blev, is you're a semi-professional Call of Duty player. You're really good at the hardcore games, and so the Switch isn't for they're not when they're doing their demographics.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. When they're doing their demographics, though, they're not targeting you. They're we know that we're not going to get Blev, but what we could get is this mom this Christmas who wants to buy the console for her 6th grade son or something, who just wants to be able to play FIFA with his friends at recess or something like that. You know what I mean?
I just want to shoot some rabbits dressed up as fire flowers, call it a day.
Sure. There's always that.
There's always that.
So but to me, where I think they need to make the conceit, or where where the developers need to sort of meet us halfway on this is to not pay full price for that game. If that game is available on a different console that has a different experience or a fuller experience on like a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox for $60, then should it be $40 on Switch? You know what I mean? Should it be a lesser version if it's a lesser game?
I think potentially that might be it, but I honestly go back to the sports games annoy the shit out of me because there's might be one new feature, but it's the exact same game as the year before or the year prior. But it's just a new updated roster and maybe a couple new features or new additions to the game. That's the only thing that annoys the shit out of me about that, and you have to pay $60. So like one year I made one mistake of downloading NBA 2K16 and I downloaded it on my PlayStation. So no matter what, I can't resell this. I can't get anything back from it. And I think downloading a sports game or anything like that it's a crime, really, because it's like, well, what do I do after that season's over? You can't really do anything with it. You don't get an updated roster for the next season. So I don't know. Sports games to me are a little shitty in a way. But I agree to your point. Like, I feel, to me at least, sports games that don't meet up to full potential should be half price. They shouldn't be full $60 for the game. You even go on like fucking Steam, and Steam games are like $20 to $25 for regular
$1.99.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah,
free
for free. Yeah, but to me, like, that sucks. I wish console would get there eventually.
It is time for topics. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the time of our show where the four of us gather around this table and bring a topic to discuss right here on the Hold On to Your Butts podcast for you. These topics can range from video games to life to dating to, I don't know, a bunch of other stuff. I burped. And remember that you can submit your topic to us here at the show at Geeks, that's GEEKS at HOTYB.co. We'll read your topic live here on the air. Am I missing anything? Oh, we got a Twitter. It's at HOTYB_show, and we got a tweet.
Wait, somebody tweeted at us, but I have to bring it up to read it.
Cool.
Hang on 1 second.
Who owns the Twitter?
Somebody. Yeah, somebody out there, our social media manager.
Got it.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
Yeah.
What's
our
his name?
tweet?
At Fernley Flynn says, at HOTYB_show, serious talk, do you hold on to your own butts or onto each other's butts?
Onto each
Hashtag
other's
curious listener.
What would you say?
Each other's butts?
Yeah, we grab a cheek. Yeah.
Definitely.
Currently
This whole
holding.
show.
I got a handful
Well, Brogan,
of blood.
tell
and a
us
handful-
about our ritual
handful
before
of
we
blood?
start.
our ritual.
Our ritual before we start.
Sure, the ritual.
The ritual?
The ritual.
Well, before
ritual.
we start, we strip down to our skivvies.
Skivvy. Oh, only
And
skivvies?
we start we each get a wall in this 4-wall room, and we just start twerking on it, and just kind of
get our butts
getting
ready?
up to speed. Yep, just getting them.
Which song did we pick tonight to do that to?
What was it, Blev? What was the song?
That
That
was it was the new Taylor. Taylor
Oh,
Swift.
Taylor Swift, there we go, yeah.
New Taylor Swift.
Look what you made me do.
Yeah. And are we singing it at the same time we're twerking?
Yep, that's us.
We sing it at the same time, right?
Well,
what you made me do. Yep.
Why can't he control himself? He's having flashbacks.
Yeah, we did it earlier. There's still your butt stain on the wall. I don't like
With your
this.
butt stain on the wall.
So, anyways, that's pretty much how we get ready for the show. That's the kind of insight you get.
What kind of grab is
Fernley
it, though?
Flynn.
What would you describe the grab? Would it be like a firm grab? Like, because you know, like in sports, if you like cup when you slap an ass,
different every
it's weird.
show.
So it's different every show.
You want to flat palm it.
Flat palm, just
Just a flat palm, because grabbing is disrespectful.
Slip a finger
but
in
a
there.
flat palm.
Right.
Okay.
Your Honor, the judge said.
Who's got tonight's first topic?
boom.
Is that you?
I don't know.
Mine's
What?
the game. I'd like to go last.
Okay, well,
Okay. Okay, I have a pretty good topic. Maybe it might be good, it might be bad. Who knows? So, how have superheroes in comics changed over time?
Oh, superhero and comics change over time?
Like I would say superheroes in movies, TV shows. How from the beginning when they first arrived, like when Batman and Robin in the, what is that, the 70s or
30s.
60s, 30s on
Batman
TV?
and Superman came out in the comic books in the 20s.
Okay, I'm saying how do you think that they
50s.
in the 50s now? So how do you think they have evolved over time? You know,
They wear much less effeminate garb.
Garb?
When they first started. I mean, imagine just look at the progress that the Batsuit, has made over the years, right? So
Yeah.
it started, and actually it's sort of retrogressed. Is that a word? Is retrogressed
has it
a
really?
word?
Do you really think it has?
Well, hold on. So when it first started, it was gray tights essentially and underwear on the outside, right?
Yeah, like that.
Yep. And then as it sort of went on, really just some variations of that. Jim Lee did a couple of variations, but really along the way it's been gray suit, black bat, blue underwear of some kind, and a blue cape and blue cowl. It wasn't really until, I guess it's fair to say, the Tim Burton 1989 Batman that we saw like the fully rubber suit, right? Where it was just, couldn't turn his head. He had the big yellow symbol, and that was sort of like a revelation for people. He didn't have underwear
like
on the
armor,
outside.
fire protection.
It was like, I thought it was like rubber. And remember when he turned around, he saw his ass cheeks.
That was Val Kilmer.
That was Val Kilmer. I thought that was so great. It's so fucking funny.
That was great. He had a bat credit card too.
No, that was in
Batman
George
and Robin.
Clooney.
Yep. Okay.
George Clooney. Oh man, I forgot about him.
So during the golden age of comics, when Batman and Superman first came out, they were more parental characters. They were like, don't do drugs, don't steal.
They talked about the Nazis.
Yeah,
they came out and
they came out and they told young people, they said, be good people, do this good thing. When they saved something, they smiled and high-fived them and stuff like that.
They teamed up with Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, and then you had the Silver Age of comic books when Spider-Man came out, and those dealt with more personal problems. That's why Spider-Man's uncle died and it was his fault, and they dealt with drug use and certain things like that, and they got more real life.
Your first
people could,
gay characters, too.
Yeah, and people can more relate to them. Is it Marv? One of Captain
Booster Gold.
Yeah,
Booster Gold. That's an actual. Wow, I've never even heard of that.
And so you have all these, and then you have love relationships that are going sour. It's not like Superman and Lois are always high five. Like they're doing great and they're celibate all the time. You know what I mean? They actually had love stories that, Gwen Stacy died and was murdered, and you have drug abuse and you don't have these, these superheroes that are on this pedestal that you can never be one day. Now you have
they're
people
godly.
So now you have in the Silver Age, you have superheroes that are doing good but still have the same flaws that I have. I could be a personal hero, myself, if I can overcome those flaws, or at least not forget about them, but know they're there, and I can still be a hero like Spider-Man, even though I made some bad decisions in the past. And that's where, and then you progress into the movies where it even gets more gritty and more real, but more for an entertainment aspect rather than like a relatable aspect, in my opinion.
So where would you say comics are now? And still in the silver. So what would you mark this era for comic books right now?
I mean, it's definitely a different
for superheroes.
There's I don't know what the official term for it is right now, but I would assume like
let's
digital,
give it a hold on to your butt.
The digital era of comics. Okay. I think we're to the point now where the medium of comics is changing so much, so it's not necessarily
they're more animated now, right?
Yeah, well, it's not that you go to the newsstand and pick up the newest issue of Batman, every month. You're or at least the way that I consume comics these days is on my iPad, and I'll download digital versions of comics. I'll go buy like physical versions if it's an important comic to me that I think might be like a collector's edition or something like that, or I'll buy number ones in print just because I'm psycho. But like the rest of them, I'll get digitally because it's just much easier to read. And frankly, like reading on an iPad, I don't know if you guys have tried like a digital comic. It's really just easy to do. Like it the way that it flows.
I think we talked about this in the past.
Yeah, the way it flows from frame to frame. Like I think that's a big reason people like don't get into comics, right out of the gate is because they're not really sure how to read them, and it's kind of confusing. If you've never really read comics, you don't know where to start, you don't know where to look, and there's a lot on a page sometimes. But I think the way that digital comics have evolved is like storytelling becomes a little bit easier to do for the writers, or maybe not easier to do for the writers, but easier to consume for the consumers.
Yeah. So I do have one more question. So pertaining to movies for superheroes, do you think it's going to start going more down the road for like Venom spinoff, where it has nothing to do with the certain Marvel universe they've created, even with like what you said about Joker? Do you think that's going to be the new era of like superhero movies now? Instead of like
the multiverse in film,
almost, yeah. So it doesn't really have to do with the actual Marvel universe.
I'm okay with that because they do that with the animated movies. So like they had the Red Skull, Sunshine, and I forget what it's called. Now they get this Batman and Harley Quinn. So basically they take comic book story arcs and they don't connect these movies at all. They're just saying we're going to take this comic book story arc and make an animated movie about it. We're not worried about how this will impact another movie or another story out. We're just going to make this story arc. They did it with the Killing Joke, which I thought was great. There was some weird things.
The animated movie?
That was the Joker movie they did. That would be fucking.
You know what I
great.
mean? Yeah,
I
they
saw
just
that movie.
did that. You know, without the sex and stuff that with Batman and Batwoman, whatever. But Batgirl. But like that's what they could do in movies.